Good morning. Welcome everyone to BenQ's November webinar. We're hosting our webinar this month on education projectors, and Bob will be our presenter during this call. We're just going to wait a minute or two to see everybody's logged in and get started shortly. Just an FYI, we will be recording this session. So if for any reason you need to go back and listen to the recording, or if you've missed this, if you're registered, you will be receiving a recording for this webinar today. All right. Looks like we've got enough people on the call. I'm going to hand it off to Bob to get started with his presentation regarding our projectors. Oh, and just as we go with we start with the presentation, just a couple of housekeeping rules that I want to kind of briefly go over quickly. If you have any questions, you can type them in the chat box or raise your hand, and we will do our best to answer those questions as we move along. We will have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation to address any additional questions that you may have. All right, Bob.
All right, thank you. So today we're looking at the BenQ education revolution. Let's dive into this. All right, if I can move my slide. There we go. Okay, so first of all, the question many of you might be asking is, why are we talking about projectors? Because schools are not buying projectors. But the fact is, schools are buying projectors. They're just not buying the traditional projectors that they used to buy. This is future source data that shows that the lamp-powered education business is basically really dropped by half. So if you're an IT manager or a school district and you're looking to buy a lamp, here's the data of what your peers are doing. And you probably want to look at an alternative, and the reason for that drop is LED and laser projectors. So a lot of the schools are transitioning to that. The other thing that you see is that if you were looking at a short throw interactive projector that was very popular in 2020, right before COVID, schools have stopped buying those as well. You can see that according to Future Source, the sales have dropped by about half. Why is that? Well, it's pretty obvious. They're buying smart boards like the BenQ board. So what are they doing, and do schools still buy projectors, and why, if we are considering a projector, what should we look at? So part of the dynamic here is that projector technology, just like phone technology, is changing. You know, at one point we all dialed phones with our thumbs, and we had small little phones that didn't have screens. Today we have smartphones. So if you look at the core basic of a projector, the light source lamps are changing dramatically. So regular mercury powered lamps that schools never really wanted anyway are going away. They're now in projectors that are typically 3,000 lumens or less. The new and emerging technology is LED, and that's really exciting. It's one of the things we'll talk about. And lasers are also, they've been around for a while, but they're expensive, and they're for high brightness projectors. We'll talk about that as well. And for those of you geeks out there who like maybe for a theater, RGB lasers, that's coming in the next 2 or 3 years. Amazing cinematic color, but not quite ready for schools at this point. If you are looking at a projector, there are 5 things that you want to look very closely at for 2023 and beyond. The first thing, and this is a radical change, is the concept of an absolute, positively, no maintenance, don't need to touch the projector ever, ever, ever again. That's a big contrast to the thousands of IT managers that have spent their summers climbing on chairs and ladders, cleaning projector filters. We'll talk about why that's feasible now today where it wasn't feasible 2 or 3 years ago. The warranty that you get on these projectors is also starting to change because this ties into item number 3, the concept of no yellowing. There's a lot of schools, including many in Texas, that have had experiences where the projectors turn yellow over time because they get used too much or something bad happens, et cetera, et cetera. The other thing is, how accurate are these projectors? And can we get the same type of color accuracy on a TV? And what about resolution? Traditionally, education projectors are always low cost, low resolution projectors. How about a projector with higher resolution? And can we afford that on our budget? Let's talk about maintenance first. If you've had a projector in your classroom or school district or anything else, it's kind of like the Hoover vacuum cleaner. This was the #1 vacuum cleaner in the all the way up to the 1980s and into the 1990s. It was the Hoover, and every Hoover came with a special accessory that was called a bag. And you would go to the grocery store, you'd buy the bag, and there'd be all these complex numbers, and you put the right bag in your Hoover, and it was a fantastic vacuum cleaner, except for when you had to run out of bags or you had to buy bags. And it was a great thing for Hoover because they always sold bags. Today, the #1 brand of education projectors is this company, and almost all of their projectors have one of these. They have a filter, and that filter needs to be cleaned and it needs to be maintained. So even though the filter may last a long, long time, how often do you need to clean it? Well, it's sort of like how often do you have to clean your AC system? It depends on a lot of different things. But if you simply Google how often I need to clean my projector filter, you come up with this: every 100 hours of use. For most classrooms, that's about every month. Okay, and it may vary on models, it may depend on everything like this, but the reality is today's projectors that are used in classrooms require you to touch them and pull out and clean that filter on a regular basis. And if you don't, it will void the warranty. So how do we get rid of that? Well, remember that Hoover required one of these? Well, today, none of us buy vacuum cleaners with bags anymore. I was in a Walmart over the weekend and I couldn't find one. And so they have these Dysons. Now you remember Dyson had to engineer out the bag. They had to do a radically different design. They wouldn't come up with some sort of cube. They had to go through all kinds of different engineering things to be able to get rid of the bag, as is what BenQ has done to get rid of the filter. We had to completely seal the engine. And this is an engineering marvel. It's a completely sealed light engine that you can put into a dust chamber, run it through the same test of an Apple Watch, 20,000 hours of dust exposure beyond what would kill a normal projector, and it survives and thrives. So the other thing that schools have dealt with for many, many years is this yellowing thing, right? So what is yellowing and why should I care? Well, if you run a bowling alley and you put up a bunch of projectors, you can see them on the top of the image here, and your pictures look like this, that's not a compelling display. They all look different, the colors look different, and this is not good, right? And if you are the IT manager at Rice University and you put up a projector and a year later it looks like this, you're also not happy. That projector, this is a photograph I took, it's mounted about 35, 40 feet up, and you can see the left side of the projector doesn't really look good. And well, why is that? Well, they used it too much. Because a lot of the top brands of education projectors, and these are laser projectors. I looked up the warranty language on this. One says you can't operate it more than 12 hours a day. Another says you can't use it continually or excessively. And the third one is, well, sure, you can drive the car as much as you want, but don't use it more than 6,000 hours. This is the problem for schools because you have varied needs. You need flexibility. You need the ability to put a projector in a lobby or a student center or an auditorium that might start teaching at 9 o'clock, and you might run night school and end teaching at 9 o'clock. Is that excessive or continually? I don't know. So what BenQ did is we said, forget all that. We want you to use our projectors as much as you want. because just like a TV, you can use it as much as you want. So we invented what PC Magazine called the Energizer Bunny of projectors. So if you look up PC Magazine, and I've got the clip here, it is the LH730, and it has a number of advantages. The first one is color accuracy. It does beautiful color on this. We'll talk about that a little bit later. It does amazing videos because you know what? We learned that schools use video a lot. In fact, over 90% of schools use video. Teachers use video as part of their curriculum and teaching. We designed an education projector that you can use as much as you want and run perfect video. And when we sent it to PC Magazine, they said, we've never seen a projector like this that you can just use as much as you want. It's absolutely positively, and every other FedEx adjective we can think of, maintenance free. There are no filters to clean. It's a completely sealed 4 LED engine. It's using the latest technology that it has, and we rated it for 24/7. So you can set it and forget it, use it as much as you want. And compared to a lamp projector where you have the risk of maybe it turning yellow and cleaning filters, it's about the same price. So this is a 1080p 4,000 lumen projector that if you were to walk into, go to Amazon or go to BenQ.com, you can buy it for about $1,100. And if you're a school, you can buy it for a lot less. So that's the Energizer Bunny of projectors. Let's talk about another part of schools that they struggle with, because this is where you can't replace the projector with a flat panel, and that's an auditorium. Auditoriums, at least for, I live in Frisco, Texas. Auditoriums are where all of the action takes place. When I'm a parent, when I'm a school official, when it's a politician, this is where they gather. They see school plays, they see award ceremonies. There are football awards with streams going on there. There's videos. They'll use it for plays. They use it for theater events. They use it for pep rallies. And what's on the screen? People are on the screen. And people need to look right, and they need to be able to see your name and read your name when the lists of who the honorees are when you're there for an award ceremony. You need to be able to read the name. So how big are these screens that are typically used in an auditorium? And according to school outfitters, they're big. Now, when you have a big screen, resolution matters. So remember we talked about how schools are going away from short throw projectors? Well, one reason is that all of those projectors are low resolution projectors. Virtually most of them that have been sold over the last years have only 1 million pixels. So I'm calling these low res. The boards that are replacing them have 8 million pixels. Okay, so you can see that schools have been buying a lot of boards, and a lot of those, even on a 75-inch displays, they love them because they're 8 million 4Ks worth of pixels. But what about on a screen that's big? It's 265 inches big. Maybe that's not so important, because you can see in 2023, 600 schools bought projectors for the auditorium that are only 1 million pixels, which doesn't look so good. 2 million pixels is what the average schools are buying, and only 14 this year bought 4K projectors for their school auditorium projectors, 5,000 lumens or bigger. This is according to FutureSource again. And when you look at, are these projectors color accurate? No. They don't align to the Rec 709 standard, which is the basic standard for every TV, every monitor, and probably what you're watching this webinar on is a Rec 709 display. So this gets into a little topic that most IT managers are familiar with, most consumers are familiar with when it comes to smartphones, but when it comes to projectors, the fog of war starts hitting. So the average screen size, according to school outfitters, is 265 inches. That's massive compared to a school display. And you remember, for a 75-inch, if 4K is resolution, why isn't 4K important for a 265-inch screen? Most people, when they think about projectors, they think brightness. Oh, I need 5,000 lumens, I need 6,000 lumens, whatever. They don't think about how many pixels are on the screen. Your iPhone, your Samsung phone, has well over 400 pixels per square inch. And of course, they compete on how great that image looks. But when you put an auditorium projector up with a wide XGA image, It has less than 25. In fact, if you use a 2 megapixel wide UHDA resolution, it has the same resolution as a typical dot matrix printer. When you look at how big that image is and how many pixels you're putting in that space, that's dot matrix. So in order to get something that's better, so that when your parents are sitting there, when your politicians are sitting there and you're watching a school play, how about 4K? When you put a 4K display up in there, now we're talking laser printer quality. Now we're talking a crisp, easy to read image. And it's awesome. So why did only 14 schools buy them? Well, up until now, they've been very expensive. Let's take a look at the most popular 4K resolution projector that has been around before we introduced the BenQ one. It's awesome. It's very bright. It has high pixel density, totally color accurate, and it also has the benefit of low maintenance, but it's $20,000. That buys a lot of projectors. What a lot of schools have been buying have been the alternative. It's bright, but it has very low pixel density. There is no color accuracy on this particular model, and it has a filter in it. So at some point, somebody's got to touch that projector, but it's less expensive. It's $2,500. And most of the time, when it comes to a school, if they're choosing between $20,000 or $2,500, the $2,500 wins. But BenQ, as part of our laser projector revolution for schools, is now offering, and we've now announced, a projector that's very bright. And it has 8 million pixels on it. So it's a 4K pixel laser printer resolution that you can put on a 265-inch screen. It also, like the Christie, has Rec 709 color. And it also, like the Christie, has a sealed laser engine design. And yes, it is more expensive than the other one, but not by much. And now you can have a set it and forget it, high pixel density at a price schools can afford. And this is also at the standard street price. So again, with school discounts and everything like that, it's much less expensive. So now schools can look at their auditorium and not have to make a very difficult choice between low cost and high quality. You get both. And you need both, because if you use this for a stage and you use this for performing, you not only need a lot of pixels, you also need a projector that's very flexible and can operate in different formats. So we've designed our projectors to be able to support multiple aspect ratios. And this is partially because we make simulation projectors, and simulation projectors have to fit in all kinds of different spaces and formats and blend in and everything like that. So now you can have a projector, a single projector that can go from, maybe I need a 4:3 screen, or maybe, as you see in this display here, I need it all the way super wide screen to 21:9. You can set up these projectors in any of these formats without sacrificing pixel density. In other words, there's so many pixels on this projector that the quality looks awesome, no matter what aspect ratio you're using it in. And that's the definition of a flexibility, so that you use the projector the way you want in your school and it still looks great. Now, the last thing is, a lot of schools use projectors in the classroom, and they use standard projectors. Plano Schools is one that's been doing, Frisco as well. They use a lot of projectors. The problem is they're lamp-based, and mercury in lamps in schools isn't good. In fact, there's over 340,000 mercury lamp projectors that were sold over the last 3 years. All of those need to come out, and every time they replace a lamp or every time a lamp breaks, it's an environmental problem. The problem is, if you want to go and move to a laser projector, it's expensive. According to FutureSource, again, the average price of a school lamp projector is about $800. The average price of a school laser projector is about $2,400, $2,300. But what if we could deliver a projector that eliminates mercury, eliminates filter cleaning, eliminates the usage limitations, will never yellow, and last up to 30,000 hours, and maybe isn't $2,300? That is the new BenQ LW600ST classroom projector. And instead of using lasers, or instead of using lamps, We're now using 4 LED technology, and the in-classroom school price, the first-time buyer price, is $732. It is a bright projector that is as bright as the traditional classroom projector, but because it uses 4 LEDs, the colors pop. It looks off the screen very well. It's the same technology that PC Magazine talked about on the Energizer Bunny projector, so it's got all of that good stuff in it, and it's affordable, and you never have to maintain it. So let's summarize here. Our projectors for the 2023 and beyond are designed for education usage. They're all designed for heavy usage. There's no usage restrictions in the warranty. You can use them as much as you want. You don't have to worry about maintaining them. They all have dust-proof engines in them, and the images use a single chip so they never get out of misalignment. It's crisp and sharp, and it never will turn yellow. And now they're affordable. Let's just take a look at the top 3. 4,000 lumens, 5,500 lumens, 2,800 lumens, all traditional classroom projector brightness. They all have Rec 709 color. The brighter ones have HDR video support, 3-year warranty right out of the box, never maintained, any resolution you want. Every single one of them is immune from yellowing, and if you buy these on a first-time buyer price, you can even get a 5,500 lumen projector with color accuracy that is matched by a $20,000 projector for $3,772, or a classroom projector for $732. So this, we think, is an education projector revolution, and wanted to share you that. Obviously, we're going to be promoting this in the big shows next year, but this is our first coming out party for our latest presentation. And with that, we'll open it up to any questions.
Bob, we've had a couple of questions here in the background that I've been answering. I want to thank Stephen and Bevan for asking them. They were asking how many hours do the projectors support. I made sure that they were aware that it's 20,000 hours for the light source. Otherwise, the warranty covers all other parts for 3 years. Stephen did have another quick question, which is something about includes the Crestron connection port.
So yes, these projectors, depending on the model, they have serial port, and most of them have networking ports as well. So, and we'll be showcasing, I think we have about 15 different projectors that we'll be highlighting as part of our education portfolio in 2024. So yes, all of them can be controlled by a Crestron or another classroom controller.
So we did also have another question that came up that was from Bevan asking, does the networking allow for remote monitoring?
Not of the content. So we don't monitor the remote content. It's basically a passive projector.
He just wants to know for support reasons.
Oh, for support reasons, absolutely. Yes. Yes, in fact, the BenQ device management software, which is really expensive. I think it's $0. So it's very expensive. It also can control, maybe you have some projectors from companies that are no longer in the education projector business, like Mitsubishi, Toshiba, Hitachi, Maxell. I'll keep going, but we can actually control those projectors as well. So if you buy a BenQ projector, maybe you have some BenQ boards, one control software, the BenQ device management software, will actually support multiple different brands of projectors, including our own. So you don't have to run 2 or 3 different software platforms on your network to be able to manage them.
All right, thank you, Bevan. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you to some of our other questions that came in. At this point, we are going to open the floor up to any final questions. All right. At this, nope, everybody's saying thank you so much. Thank you, Bob. You did a great job presenting all of this information. As Medea mentioned at the beginning of our session, this will be recorded and sent out to everyone who registered and everyone who attended. I want to thank our attendees. We will be letting you know if you've won one of our monitors that we're raffling off. We had 5 monitors that we are raffling off with this session today. We will let you guys know if you want to monitor from us, and we'll arrange shipment here shortly. And I want to thank you guys for your time. If you have any more questions, don't hesitate to reach out, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Thanks, guys.